Hey everyone, welcome to What a Week. Chris McKinnon here with John Keller. We've upgraded this week.
Wow. I feel like I graduated from the kids' table to the grown-ups table at Thanksgiving.
The couch is a lot more comfortable though.
Yeah, it is. By the way, happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you and same to all of you. Thanks so much for checking in with us. So John, let's talk about this week. We've been dealing with the impeachment inquiry. We heard from Ambassador Sondland, and it was kind of explosive, some of the things that he dropped when he was testifying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, he confirmed that there was a quid pro quo, and it was about getting dirt on the Bidens, and, nothing we didn't already know, frankly, dating back to the White House's own account, their summary of the now infamous call. I have to say, Chris, not to go off on a tangent, when I'm listening to this guy and I'm thinking, this is our ambassador to the European Union? I mean, the European Union is a crucial ally, a crucial economic trading partner, really? But anyway, the nation and the world heard what he had to say. The president's response would be comic if it wasn't so pathetic, pointing to a conversation he had after the whole story had blown up, in which he's saying, I don't want anything. No quid pro quo, after the whistle has been blown. So, it is what it is. I don't think any fair-minded person could be following all these events without knowing that the president and the Republican spin is a joke. But we're just going to have to wait and see how that manifests itself politically.
Last week when we talked about this, you said it's kind of going to be, what the testimony, what comes out of the testimony and how people will make up their minds. Do you think there was anything this week so far that maybe changed a lot of people's minds? I know there's really probably just a fraction of the voters that are capable of changing.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Well, I think one thing that you may later on look back and say, well, that was a little bit of a turning point, is the fact that, this was not, as the Trumpkins like to call it, a deep state person. The other witnesses prior to that have been career State Department officials and so forth. This guy was a Trump appointee.
Right.
He had no deep state ties. So are you going to dismiss him on those grounds? Kind of hard to do.
All right. Let's also talk about the ongoing race for the Democratic nomination. And we've seen kind of a shift this week in polling where we've seen Pete Buttigieg rising pretty big in Iowa and New Hampshire. What's your take on this? And last night was the debate as we filmed this, but what's your take on where Mayor Pete is right now and the rest of the field out there?
Well, first of all, kudos to Buttigieg. He's come out of complete obscurity and projected himself for real into the upper echelon of this race. It's a very impressive accomplishment. He's a very impressive guy. I never condone betting on politics, and I would advise our viewers not to bet the mortgage on Pete Buttigieg getting the nomination on the basis of one poll in Iowa and one poll in New Hampshire. With polls, you really have to see a broader body of evidence. But look, Buttigieg is well suited, certainly to Iowa, where the voters has a higher education level. The caucus goers tend to be activists. He's hitting all the right notes, and he's spent a lot of time in Iowa and put a lot of effort into it. He's a fellow Midwesterner. That helps. But, now that he's a front runner, as Elizabeth Warren was before him and Joe Biden before him, it's his turn in the barrel. And what I saw in the debate on Wednesday night, was a candidate who's still struggling to deal with his major areas of vulnerability, most notably his utter lack of appeal to black voters.
Right.
I won't rehash all the details, but South Bend has seen a lot of racial discord between the black community and the police and city government. He's taken a lot of heat over that. He's admitted he couldn't fix it. I'd like to know more about why he couldn't fix it. And if it's a question of, well, he couldn't stand up to the police union, well, if you can't stand up to the South Bend Police Union, how are you going to stand up to Donald Trump or stand up to a Republican Senate if you're elected? So he's got a long, long way to go. Keep in mind, these days in these races, think back to the Republican race of 2012, and then again 2016, they played musical chairs as front runner. This could be more the same. We'll find out soon enough.
All right, sure will. And then let's bring it back home here to Massachusetts politics and the legislature wrapping up their business this week, kicking the big transportation bill down the road. We've talked about this a little bit, but this is going to be a big task to undertake, and someone's going to have to foot the bill eventually for who's going to pay for the rails, the roads, the bridges to get fixed.
They just shoveled billions of dollars out the door into public education, something that was needed, and kudos to the legislature for finally getting it done, but that's a lot of money they're spending. There are flashing warning lights on the economic dashboard nationally, and that could affect the kind of revenue flow that the legislature enjoys. I don't think anyone doubts that we're going to have to spend more money on transportation. Governor Baker's line has been, we're investing the money, that's enough. We don't need to raise more taxes to do it. You know, will Democrats in a re-election year in the legislature be up to, say, raising the gas tax or raising some other more broad-based tax to try to pay for it? They know, at least at this point, that they're facing a veto from the governor. They can easily override it, but do they really want to do that? That is the million-dollar question for 2020 on Beacon Hill.
The billion-dollar question, maybe.
You know, Chris, it says in my contract you're not allowed to be wittier than me, so I'll let that go, but watch it.
Okay, I'll watch it. Never again. That was my one time. All right, John, thank you very much. Appreciate your insight as always. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll see you next time on What a Week.